If earning well is a sign of success, then why do so many people who receive a high salary live with the feeling of being trapped? If the money is good, the position is stable, and there is recognition, why does the idea of leaving that job cause fear, anxiety, or even panic? This is an uncomfortable but extremely necessary question, and perhaps you have already experienced it without ever putting it into words. You look at your salary, see a number that many people would like to earn, and yet, you feel that something doesn't add up, as if this victory comes with an invisible weight. Socially, earning well has become synonymous with stability, maturity, and financial success. When someone says they earn $30 an hour, the immediate reaction is admiration, but almost no one asks what that salary demands in return, nor what normal decisions it silently pushes into their financial life. And that's where the problem lies. What you're about to discover may surprise you, because it's not about a lack of money, but about financial behavior, psychology, and choices that seem too obvious to question. Have you ever been through this? Stick with me until the end of this part, because before talking about leaving, freedom, or change, we need to calmly look at this strange feeling of being well paid, but at the same time having no way out. And as you recognize yourself in these ideas, it's worth turning that feeling into a conversation, because this kind of imprisonment is almost never spoken aloud. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has touched you the most so far, or tell us if you've experienced this contradiction of earning well and yet feeling like you can't escape. Reading about these experiences creates a real space for exchange, where many people realize they're not alone in this silent struggle. And if what's being said here is opening your eyes in any way, liking the video helps this message reach more people who are also experiencing normal decisions that destroy their financial lives without realizing it. Subscribing to the channel is a way of saying you want to continue this conversation, deepen this type of reflection, and build together a more conscious vision about money, work, and choices. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, and that changes more than it seems, because what comes next starts precisely from this awareness that is emerging. Now, when your salary increases, something curious happens in your mind even before it affects your bank account. The brain interprets that higher number as an immediate synonym for security, stability, and control, even when your financial structure remains fragile. It's almost automatic. The feeling of relief comes before analysis, and emotional logic takes the wheel. From there, decisions begin to be made unconsciously. A slightly higher standard of living, fixed commitments that seem harmless, choices justified by the idea that now it's affordable. It doesn't seem like an exaggeration. It seems like progress. But this initial comfort begins to shape your mindset without you realizing it. The problem isn't the salary amount itself, but the behavior it triggers. The more you earn, the more your surroundings expect you to behave like someone who earns well. This includes maintaining status, avoiding risks, and not backing down. Gradually, freedom diminishes, not because the money has disappeared, but because it has acquired an owner even before it arrives. The fear of losing what has been achieved outweighs the desire to change. This is where comfort becomes a psychological trap. A high salary begins to act as an invisible anchor, hindering decisions, delaying actions, and increasing the emotional cost of any attempt to leave. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because behind this feeling of security lies a hidden truth that almost no one realizes. The higher the salary, the greater the internal resistance to transformation. It's not laziness, it's emotional survival. The brain protects what seems stable, even if it limits your journey. This is one of the most uncomfortable revelations when we talk about normal decisions that have a silent impact on financial life, behind the scenes of daily routines, far from spreadsheets and cold numbers. All of this happens within the mind, shaping choices that seem rational, but carry a much greater weight than they appear. If this resonated with you, comment below. This makes sense to me. There's a calculation that almost no one does, not because it's difficult, but because it confronts an uncomfortable truth. When you think about your hourly wage, you usually divide the monthly amount by the official hours of your contract, and that's it. A sense of control arises. But this calculation ignores everything that happens behind the scenes of your daily routine. Taxes that reduce the real value, daily commutes that consume time and energy, the mental fatigue you take home, the difficulty of switching off your mind, the accumulated stress that impacts decisions outside of work. All of this is also paid for with time, but it doesn't appear on your payslip. When you add up these invisible layers, the real value per hour begins to shrink, not because the salary is low, but because the cost of maintaining it is too high. The mental energy spent sustaining performance, the time lost on activities that don't generate personal growth, the lack of space to think clearly about one's own journey. These are normal, socially accepted decisions, repeated by millions of people every day, that seem harmless in isolation, but together, silently erode financial freedom. This is the real impact that almost no one sees. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because this invisible equation doesn't just affect your wallet, it shapes your mindset. When time becomes scarce and energy becomes currency, transformation becomes more distant. People begin to confuse survival with progress, occupation with advancement, routine with security. This hidden truth explains why so many people work hard, earn well, but feel they are always in the same place. It's not a lack of effort. It's a miscalculation that directs decisions, hinders progress, and weighs heavily emotionally. And when this perception begins to emerge, something changes internally, as if a new lens were placed on one's own story. If this resonated with you, comment below. I'm on this journey too. There's a delicate point in this journey that almost no one dares to admit aloud. The more you earn, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because the job is amazing, but because life around it has been built to not allow for pauses. Bills grow at the same rate as the salary. Commitments demand continuity, and any idea of change begins to sound like a threat. The fear of starting over doesn't come from a lack of ability, it comes from the structure built around that income. And this creates an invisible prison, made not of chains, but of responsibilities. Social comparison enters the scene silently. You begin to measure yourself by the standard you maintain, the position you hold, what others expect from someone who has made it. Going back feels like failure, even when continuing hurts. The hidden truth is that many people don't stay where they are out of love for their work or purpose, but out of fear of losing status, comfort, or approval. It's a heavy emotional game that affects important decisions and shapes mindset without asking permission. A high salary becomes an argument to endure a little longer, postpone dreams, and silence dissatisfaction. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this prison isn't just financial, it's internal. Little by little, the idea of choice disappears, and the person begins to confuse fear with responsibility. The journey ceases to be about growth and becomes about maintenance. This has a huge impact on energy, clarity, and even identity. Behind the scenes of daily life, decisions are made to avoid losses, not to seek transformation. And when someone finally puts this into words, a mixture of relief and discomfort arises, as if a truth were being revealed after being hidden for a long time. If this passage spoke directly to you, comment below. This makes sense to me. Real change begins the moment you see the game clearly without fantasy or denial. It's not about giving up everything at once, nor about promising shortcuts that don't exist. The first step is internal, regaining control over decisions that previously seemed too automatic to question. When financial awareness awakens, something changes in mindset. Salary ceases to be the center of identity and becomes merely a tool within a larger journey. This restores power, not impulsive power, but a silent power based on understanding. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding the game means realizing that it was designed to keep you busy, comfortable enough not to leave, and insecure enough not to take risks. Behind the scenes of this structure, small daily decisions define the course of your financial life. Accepting certain conditions without reflection, postponing important conversations with yourself, confusing stability with progress. The hidden truth is that those who don't see the game react. Those who do begin to choose. And choice doesn't mean immediate rupture. It means clarity, strategy, and intention. This transformation happens when you begin to observe your own actions honestly. Why are certain decisions made? What is being protected? Real security or disguised fear? When these questions arise, the journey changes pace. The feeling of being trapped begins to give way to a broader perception, where salary doesn't define the limit of possibilities, only the starting point. Understanding this doesn't solve everything at once, but it opens up space for more conscious decisions, with real impact over time. And perhaps the most important question echoes within you now. If you understand the game, what changes in the way you look at your work, your choices, and the next step in your story? If this reflection has stayed with you this far, comment below. I'm on this journey too. If you've made it this far, it's because this conversation resonated with you on some level, and that says a lot. This channel exists precisely to spark this kind of reflection, without easy promises, but with clarity, context, and real usefulness for those who want to make better decisions along their own journey. If this content resonated with you, subscribing is a simple way to stay connected to these conversations and follow new videos that delve deeper into these same topics, always with this more conscious perspective on money, work, and choices. If you want, leave a comment saying, "This message was for me," or "I'm with you until the end." Reading this helps you understand who's on the other side of the screen and reinforces that this exchange is worthwhile. And if you felt a connection with what was said here, leaving a like is just a silent way of saying that this conversation stayed with you until the end. There's a video over here that complements this topic and delves even deeper into this reflection. Click and continue reading it.